All right. Okay, so we left off with Israel led being very militant, right? We talked about their militancy, if that's a word, right? We talked about them being very, very strong on the front of war. Even more so than Moses, I would say. Just I think the fact that maybe the group was slightly younger, and I think they had a lot more confidence instilled in them with Joshua being a leader, because he was a leader of great confidence. So let's go ahead and get into more of their I say tobacco, what's the word? More of their things, right? Not to be unserious about the subject, but it is just kind of like move so fast, bada bing, bada boom, just because that's how the Bible is structured. But I'm sure, some time had passed. With that being said, let's get into a quote where it says, "Years glide away and are lost to me, lost to me." This is from Epigram, Iophagasis. Don't think I pronounced that right. Iophagasis, section 260, line 10. Years glide away and are lost to me, lost to me. So yes, this can be kind of what we're talking about, barely. The perception of time, right? How time can sometimes slip away from us. Some days seem faster, some days seem shorter. And then when you get into remembering back years prior, it can really, really be a difficult task. We aren't really sure how much time is passed between these feats that the Israelites are observing, right? And the Bible is observing. We're not really sure, how long the progression is, but it seems very rapid just with the way that we're going through it. I mean, we are going through each chapter, if you will, right? Because we're going through 9, 10. Every chapter, we're talking about something new, an event. So it seems like it's progressing pretty fast. There's really not a lot of lull or dull moments that are covered in the Bible. They're really structured to cover the highlights, if you will, or, the defeats, or, just any great event, right? So it may seem fast, structured, like things are slipping away, just moving so fast, but to cover the timeline that we're trying to cover, right? It's a good amount of time that is covered in the Bible. You kind of have to move pretty promptly and just cover the most important parts, which is what we're doing. This quote will also relate to the very end of this passage, which we will learn about. So let's get into it. It says, "Now when all the kings west of the Jordan heard about these things, the kings in the hill country and the western foothills, and along the entire coast of the Mediterranean Sea, as far as Lebanon, the kings of the Hittites, the Amorites, Cannanites, Perizzites, Hivvites and Jebusites, they came together to wage war against Joshua at Israel." All right. They are fearful. It's mentioned in the Bible. I didn't put it down here, but they are fearful due to the fact that oh, you know what? Let me go down. But did I cover the treaty? I just want to make sure I covered the treaty. See, I apologize for being a little all over the place. Okay, well, we didn't cover it completely yet, but we're getting right into it. I'll explain it. But yes, they're fearful. They just attacked Ai, or I, however you want to say that, and they're fearful, right? It says, "However, when the people of Gibeon heard what Joshua had done to Jericho and Ai, for they resorted to a ruse, they went as a delegation whose donkeys were loaded with worn-out sacks, old wineskins, cracked and mended." All right, so again, they are fearful, right? In Gibeon, they are the Gibeonites and the Hivites, right? The Hivites. They are coming up with a plan to go to them looking like they're really worn and tired, and they're coming from somewhere else. They're not trying to pose as Hivites or Gibeonites. They're trying to just pose themselves as servants so they can form an alliance. So they're looking to maybe gain some insights. Maybe the alliance wasn't in their head immediately, but they're trying to trick them in a way, like thinking they're somebody else and that they would be protected. We'll get into it, okay? Said, "But the Israelites said to the Hivites, But perhaps you live near us, so how can we make a treaty with you?" So the Israelites set out on the third day, and they came to their cities, Gibeon, Kephirah, Beeroth and Kiriath Jearim. So then Joshua summoned the Gibeonites and said, "Why did you deceive us by saying, 'We live a long way from you,' while actually you live near us?" Then that day he made the Gibeonites woodcutters and water carriers for the assembly, to provide for the needs of the altar of the Lord at the place the Lord would choose. And that is what they are to this day. So this is the history of the Gibeonite people. They were kings, right? The leaders that came in and visited the tribes were kings. They posed as servants. And so, instant karma here, Joshua went ahead and assigned them this servitude type of life. They were to cut the wood and carry the water for the altar, almost like the type of work the Levites would do, but it was more just few pegs maybe lower than what the Levites were assigned, because they were hands-on with the altar. Gibeonites were just servicing the altar. So that is their role, and it says that is what they are till this day. It says here, "Now Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, heard that Joshua had taken Ai and totally destroyed it, doing to Ai and its king as he had done to Jericho and its king, and that the people of Gibeon made a treaty of peace with Israel and had become their allies." So this is where they are really being instilled fear, because Gibeon, right? Gibeon was a great nation, even larger than Ai. So Ai. So to the fact that they made a treaty, this large, great, powerful nation, all the other kings, the 5 kings, were petrified. They're like, "Oh no." They've increased in number, essentially. Then the 5 kings of the Amorites, the kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, and Lachish, and Eglon joined forces. They moved up with all their troops and took up positions against Gibeon and attacked it. So Joshua's army marched up from Gilgal with his entire army, including all the best fighting men. On the day the Lord gave the Amorites over to Israel, Joshua said to the Lord in the presence of Israel, "Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and you, moon, over the valley of Ajalon." So the sun stood still, and the moon stopped, till the nation avenged itself on its enemies. So yes, they defeated, Joshua's army defended Gibeon, and they defeated the Amorites, they defeated the kings, the soldiers of the 5 kings. The kings themselves actually escaped, which we will learn about during our next reading, see what happens to them. But this little tidbit here, very, very interesting. So the sun stood still and the moon stopped till the nation avenged itself on its enemies. So essentially that day was extremely long, right? The sun can't technically stay still because it's pretty stationary. The moon, of course, it rotates also on a certain axis and track. But so what could have happened, right? The earth itself could have stopped. Its rotation could stop. And we think, is this possible? Well, as we know, anything is possible with the Lord. But thinking about the logistics of it, the earth could not have stopped entirely. I remember watching a video that said if the earth were to ever stop just immediately, right, spinning at, I looked it up, spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, all the people and the buildings and the things on the earth would still be moving with that velocity at 1,000 miles an hour, and it would just be the end of everything, essentially. Imagine the earth stopping, moving at 1,000 miles an hour abruptly, right? 1,000 miles an hour, everything would still be going at that speed, because we ourselves are not stopped. We're moving with 1,000 miles an hour velocity at all times, just being present on this earth. Of course, we do know that the earth's rotation is seemingly constant, but the speed at which the earth spins, it's not the same speed all the time. It varies slightly, and we know this because mass on Earth can shift, and when mass shifts, things slow down or speed up. So it can affect it. It has, the variation due to the effect of the tides and things like that, just mass shifting. So that's something to think about. So that's why, some days might feel a little bit longer, some days might feel a little bit shorter, because the speed of the Earth's rotation does vary. It's not 100% constant all the time. So what could have happened here, though, because this was an anomaly, and it's actually recorded that, yes, this happened. I have let me just read the last part of this. Didn't want to put it down, but it will help to explain. It says, this is just after line 13. As it is written in the book of Jeshar, the sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed going down for about a full day. There has never been a day like it before or since, a day when the Lord listened to a human being. Surely the Lord was fighting for Israel. So again, this was Joshua commanded this, and the Lord listened to him. So again, that shows the authority and the confidence that Joshua had and the leadership qualities that he had, right? Very, very cool. But again, the sun, it's not necessarily that the sun has stopped. It says it delayed going down. So it just stretched the day out. So what definitely could have happened is the Earth just slowed, spinning, and it just slowed down ever so slightly to the point where it was almost just like a gradual slowdown all the way from 1,000 miles an hour, however long, right? Just slowed down gradually. So the sun just stayed right in the position, right, to shine on them as long as possible. And of course the moon, over here just not really catching up as it was supposed to. So hey, I don't doubt it. It still happens. Mass is shifting all the time on the Earth. The tides are working their own system. So definitely could have happened. And with the power of the Lord, of course, right? He just takes his hand and just slows it down just a little bit. We imagine. But no, very, very interesting. That's all I have to say. This was part 3. Very, very cool, right? Time is very much, in fact, relative. It's not a fixed constant, even though we're measuring 60 seconds, 60 seconds, 60 seconds. Our days get shorter, our nights are longer, that sort of thing. So, God bless you guys. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.